When it comes to our body's health and well-being, chiropractic care has understood this from the very beginning, that our bodies must move well. So you might hear this and you might say to yourself, okay, doc, I'm going to start to exercise. I'm going to start to move more. And one of the simplest things someone might think they can do is just go out and run. I'm going to go for a jog. I'm going to start to take a run. And if you haven't been taking a run, hopefully you would tell yourself, maybe I should just take a walk. And once you build up to a certain amount of time with a walk, maybe you should be running. But let's just say you go for a run. In theory, moving our joints, getting our blood flowing is very healthy. Very conducive to allowing our body the ability to detoxify, to sweat, to get blood flowing in different areas. And there's a possibility that the running, especially a number of miles of running a week, or adding up to days and weeks and months of running, could start to become its own stressor, could cause subluxations more when you're trying to reduce them more. There are many habits that we are told to do that in the end for us personally may not be the best thing. Go to the gym, work out, lift weights, run. Every exercise program is unique to the person. The best trainer in the world would have a unique program for every single person based on their restrictions, their misalignments, their abilities. But if we try to use someone else's program to become our program, it may be beneficial. If you haven't been moving and you decide to start to move, you will feel better. Unless you have serious problems, you'll feel better by moving. But at some point, we have to think about the car analogy, of the tire analogy. If your car tires just got changed, you got brand new tires, all four, they were rotated and balanced, and they're in perfect alignment and no wear and tear. That is you just being born. That's new tires. You were just born. You're brand new. Did you know that by the time you're 4 years old, you've had about 4,000 impacts? 4,000 impacts. So your tires, over even the first 4 years of your life, may get misaligned. Now, if you get your tires regularly rotated and balanced, you might be doing that on a general maintenance schedule. Maybe it's every 5,000 miles. But is your body under a regular maintenance schedule? Are you under a regular maintenance schedule even right now? If you are, wonderful. If you're not, were you when you were 4 years old, when you were 1 month old? The general maintenance schedule for a human being is being checked 1 time a month at the chiropractor. 1 time a month. I rarely recommend that to anyone other than children. Why? Because most people that come in my office have completely ignored the general maintenance schedule. Not your fault, usually. We have failed to learn how to take care of our spine from birth. Between all the traumas and accidents, lack of knowledge and understanding of how chiropractic can benefit you most when you're first born, most people don't seek a chiropractor until they hurt. And that may be in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. And it might even go away and then you come back in your 60s. But that general maintenance schedule is still needed. So you're behind 100, 200, 1,000 visits before you even come in to see the chiropractor for the first time. There are limitations. We're going to talk about running, but there are limitations to your body. If you have not been on your general maintenance schedule, your ability to do the things you want for your body to function the way you want without breakdown may not be possible. So this message hopefully may go to you and be somewhat depressing or unhopeful. But there's people around you who could start to get checked right now. And the sooner we do that and the more often, the better chance we have of making sure that those tires stay in alignment and the wear and tear on those tires, and you only get 1 set as a human being, get checked. And we start to wear evenly. We're all going to wear out. But if you are properly functioning in good alignment and moving well, your body shouldn't wear out for 125 years. 125 years. But most people that come into my office on x-rays show breakdown and deterioration by the time they're at least 40. I've seen it as young as 20, even 16, because their bodies were misaligned from the beginning. And after a decade or 2 or 3 or 4, their body's starting to show up dysfunction, decay, and deterioration because their alignment was off. And it started to wear their body out unevenly. Uneven wear and tear leads to disc problems, tendinitis, tendinosis, arthritis, inflammation. So if you know that you are at a lack of movement, a lack of steps, a lack of good function, and you want to start moving, let me talk a little bit about running how chiropractors benefit runners and what you should look out for as a runner. Number one, this is coming from someone who has been a runner, hence the picture. Probably the only time I ever put my picture on there. And there's my beautiful wife. We're happy as can be because Sean Wood, which we love to death, was on the marathon, the only Canton marathon that ever happened, truly Canton marathon. We ran that together. And Sean Wood was on the walk and he snapped this picture of us. He does work for me still. He's amazing. And he snapped this, but we were probably 5 miles into the 26.1 miles or 2 miles. And we ran a marathon. So I know what it takes to train. I know what it takes to put miles on my body. And so I want to give you the understanding of what I've learned as running a marathon and training for one. I've done a couple half marathons. What were some of the things that you need to be aware of? What are things you need to do to try to help breaking down of your body? And how does chiropractic benefit those things? So those are the couple things we're going to go over. Hopefully my preamble or prelude to all this is that you understand that there are a lot of factors that can affect your body's health and its function. That if your tires become out of alignment, they're going to wear unevenly and you're going to break down. So if you are a runner and you put miles on your feet and on your spine, ultimately your spine handles that vibration, that compression, that, constant pounding. Your body is built to handle running. You should be able to run. But majority of patients who come into my office who haven't followed the general maintenance schedule come into my office somewhat misaligned or crooked from their feet, their arches, to maybe their knees and hips, to even their head position is throwing off the alignment. And so as you put more miles onto a body that's misaligned, it will in turn start to wear out faster and in usually 1 or 2 areas. So what I want you to think about is that if you're going to run or even walk and put miles on your body that requires weight bearing. Weight bearing is wonderful for training to improve bone density, to get rid of osteoporosis. If you're going to do that, make sure you're getting checked. And if you haven't been checked, you're going to probably have to get some not just maintenance done, but repair. Your car is going to need repaired. And we want to repair you with proper function, which right exercises, the right alignments, the right adjustments to unlock the restrictions that are causing compensation and wear and tear in your body. So as a runner, it would be vital that everyone is getting checked on a regular basis for stresses that are occurring from running and stressors that probably occurred before you. The key here is that your body is going to have stress on it, but the continuation of removing those stressors is so important. So I was probably in my 30s, maybe there. I don't know if I look a lot younger there, but I know I was younger. It was 2012, 13 years ago. I would start a training program with the marathon running, and I would be able to do some lower mileage, couple miles at a time for a couple days in the week. One day required at least 5 to 7 miles, and when I was practicing on 22nd Street, I could run from 22nd Street back to my home in North Canton. It was exactly the mileage I need. I had younger children then. I mean, my kids now are older, so they were young, definitely young then, and I work a full day. I'd run home, get my 5-7 miles in, and I'd jump right into being a dad and enjoying my kids for the couple hours that I could. Did I stretch before I got done, before I went and ran to home? Nope. Did I stretch and take care of and massage my body when I got home? Nope. So I did this for a number of months, and when you do a marathon training, usually there's one day, typically on the weekend, that you do higher mileage. You start to get to 10, to 12, the 14, 17, 20 miles. Some people go more than that. So when I was starting to run into the 10, 12, 14 miles, I was fine. But at a certain point of mileage on my knees without properly stretching my hips, the thing you remember, I'm standing all day, without loosening my calves, my hips, my glutes, my quads, I felt like someone would jam a knife right in the side of my knee right about my 14th mile. There were times my wife would have to run home because she needed to finish her mileage because she was tougher than me and obviously didn't. She was getting adjusted maybe more than I was, and she would finish her mileage and then come get me with a car because I was just walking. I gave up my training ultimately because I knew that I was just breaking down, and I started to do a lot of foam rolling and stretching just to get my knee back so I felt better. And that was the understanding that I finally found, is that you can push yourself to a limit, but before your body tells you that you're broken, it's time to try to prevent problems. So as much knowledge as I have, life would take over and I wouldn't take care of the day-to-day needs that my hips and my body had, which ultimately my IT bands were pulling so hard at my knee that I couldn't run. The good news is I still finished that marathon. It wasn't wise, but I did it. And the things that I learned was that, what's the saying? an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I have people who will tell me that it's hard to get the exercises done that I require. They say, I don't have 10 minutes. I don't have 20 minutes. And I say to them this, you may not have 20 minutes today or tomorrow or feel like you don't. I think it's obvious we all know you can find 20 minutes if you want to. It's priorities. But if your body's not screaming at you, the priority maybe is taken away of taking care of your body because maybe the adjustments are working that well. That's wonderful. But if you don't spend the 20 minutes now, you may be spending years of decay and deterioration and possibly trying to recover from a surgery that you could have prevented by doing a little bit of maintenance every day. Usually it takes a significant life event to cause someone to change their habits. And even then, the research would show us that in 5 years, you'd be back to the same habits. This is research they cite from cardiovascular problems, heart attack patients. If they were smokers, and let's just say they said, you got to stop smoking, or you got to stop eating the junk that you're eating. Right after a heart attack, there's enough scare that their life was about to end that they make some changes. But the day-to-day heart attack isn't happening. So they start to get more lax with their diet, more lax with their habits, and they go back to their same habits. And in 5 years, a need for heart surgery is performed almost regularly. I can't remember what the percentage is, but very regularly in 5 years, there's a need for another bypass. We don't want you to have to bypass your spine. You shouldn't bypass the work, but life will get to us. I shared you my example. I know this, but it took experience and it took these things to let us realize that it must be done. We want people to be able to run and enjoy their running. But my tips in the sense of running or walking or anything, if you start putting more mileage on your body, your feet, your knees, your hips, number one is get scanned for orthotics. Absolutely get scanned for orthotics in our office, because I can't tell you the amount of people that we see with back problems. At least 30% the research shows with back issues have foot issues. Your feet are your foundation. Get scanned and get a custom pair made. If they don't work, you can turn them back in. But I'd say number one thing is get those things in your shoes so you have at least proper support and a function of your feet. These aren't going to prevent you from moving your feet. They're going to help keep arches from falling. Number two, start with your feet and your calves when it comes to stretching and mobility. Almost every problem that comes up into our back or even into our neck starts with your foot mechanics, restriction, and tightness. Simply, you could just put your your foot on the ground, your toes on the ground, and roll in circles, like you're doing circles with point, like you're on point, like in ballet. But just circle and move your foot. Massage the bottom of your foot with a golf ball. Absolutely necessary. Stretch your calves nonstop. I would always do a calf stretch on a stair maybe, where you drop that foot off the stair. Your knee should be straight, and then sometimes you should bend your knee. But either way, that calf stretching is huge. So your feet and lower legs need to be taken care of. Foam rolling to me was a savior. If you know where to unlock those trigger points, which are protective spasms in your body that are keeping you from moving, when you can unlock those, you can unlock patterns of stress. But a massage therapist can do this too, but you need to learn how to do it daily as well. Foam rolling, stretching your quads and your hamstrings, along with your hip flexors and your glutes. These are most of the muscles of your body. Your adductors could also use it, but your whole lower body needs to be loosened up. But it also needs to be strong. The second problem runners will get into is that runners, if all you do is run, you're challenging your body in one plane of movement all day long when you're running. If you're a runner, you need to do some strengthening exercises, absolutely with your legs, but side-to-side movements are huge. So doing, we used to call them grapevines, or just side shuffles and backwards running. Challenge your body at least in multiple directions. Definitely do balance exercises. Absolutely key. First, do it with your eyes open, one leg at a time, and then try to close your eyes. The more keyed in you are to the movements of your foot, the stronger you will be. Your core needs to stay strong. Ultimately, your spine is going to take all these stressors if you're not taking care of those things. But I can't tell you the amount of young kids who've come into this office that are distorted in all kinds of ways. They have Osgood slaughters in the knee. Their arches are fallen. And I look at them and they're athletic kids, but we adjust them and their coaches 9 times out of 10 say, wow, you're running so much better, so much different. What did you do? They saw the chiropractor. We turned on the power, the connection between their brain and their body. They got into a bad pattern and their body had turned off. Now we are able to turn that back on, but it needs rehabbed. So there's so many parts to this. But if someone is a runner and you're not getting checked by a chiropractor, or you're getting checked by me, but you're going to start running, there's lots of little steps to look at. But know that you're in safe hands and you're being taken care of, because when we adjust you, we're removing the stressors that you may be putting on day to day. I guess that's the point. When you get adjusted, we reboot the whole system to allow you to reset. But there might be some repair and healing that takes time and energy and frequency. So let us help you in the path of taking care of things with preventative measures in a holistic and natural way to get your body that was built to function amazingly to keep doing that. Thank you guys for being on this call. Have a good night.